I've been on my body, I don't trust nobody. I don't really gotta prove shit, cause I kept it solid. A lot of niggas gon' hate, but ain't gon' do nada. You proud of me, I'm stepping in Balenciaga.
I love you, Equinox.
No man won't put no fear in me, no. Tryna cry, but ain't no tears in me, oh. Going through a lot of bullshit, a lot of years on me. They wasn't there, I had to cut some peers around me.
It's Huncho Hills, man, the Mindset Mechanic, back with another gem. And on this episode, we gonna dive into it. We talking about emotional and spiritual maturity. So this is part 1 of emotional spiritual maturity. We're gonna get into it. Boom. So, emotional maturity is the ability to manage your emotions with awareness, accountability, and resilience, allowing you to build healthier relationships, make sound decisions, and navigate challenges with balance. It's about how you respond to life's ups and downs, how you treat others, and how you grow through adversity. The core elements of emotional maturity is self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, accountability, and resilience. Now, self-awareness is recognizing your emotions and understanding their impact. Self-regulation is practicing restraint and patience, responding thoughtfully. Empathy is seeing from others' perspectives and validating their feelings. Accountability, that's owning your actions or your mistake or whatever part you played and then learning from it. Resilience is bouncing back from silent setbacks without bitterness. How to develop breath work to observe emotions without judgment. Conflict management, learning to express needs clearly while respecting others' boundaries or their standards or moral principles. Just respecting their space. Emotional reflection, that's asking the tough questions like, what triggered me? And service and patience, shifting focus from self to contribute to others positively. Now that's also comes with continuous learning, which is an emotional maturity skill that you develop, or education, which is therapy and intentional practice. And those are all things that help. Meditating, talking to God, writing, journaling, creative expression, a lot of those things, you know. Emotional intelligence and maturity becomes the glue that holds it all together. It's what transforms bold symbolism into authentic leadership. God gifted us emotions, but didn't design emotions to have you. Never get to a place where you stop growing. Leaders need to grow, and leadership comes from emotional maturity and emotional intelligence. Mistakes make you stronger because it's a learning experience. Proverbs 26, verse 11 and 12. As a dog returns to its vomit, so a fool repeats his foolishness. And you get what that means, and if you don't, it's like the definition of insanity. Keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result. All right? So, moving on, we're going into spiritual maturity. So, spiritual maturity is the process of living where wisdom, love, and responsibility guide every action. The pathways to spiritual maturity: study and reflection. That's deep engagement with sacred texts or wisdom traditions. Prayer and meditation, that's cultivating inner stillness and connection with you and God and being in alignment. Service and responsibility, that's embedding values in your everyday daily actions. Accountability, surrounding yourself with mentors and peers who challenge your growth, hold you accountable, and hold you to your word. Integration, that's applying spiritual insights in all areas of your life. Patience, accepting that maturity unfolds over time, not overnight. It's about living with intention, embodying service, and radiating resilience. Ego transcendence. The ego isn't destroyed, but understood. You stop needing constant validation, and instead your sense of worth flows from connections to something greater. God, source, the universe, or however you define it. Resilience in chaos. Spiritual maturity shows when life tests you. Instead of crumbling under pressure, you adapt, you learn, and you grow. Challenges become teachers, not your enemies. Developing spiritual maturity, remain coachable and curious towards growth. Stay constant and fit for use for God, and always improving and moving forward. Philippians chapter 2, verse 3. Don't be selfish. Don't try to impress others. Be humble, thinking of others as better than yourselves. Verse 4. Don't look out only for your own interests, but take interest in others too. Dedicate time each morning for reflection, prayer, or study. Track your emotional responses and decisions to see growth over time. Surround yourself with mentors, people of value or insight, and peers who encourage accountability. Engage in acts of kindness, responsibility, maturity, being your word. You know what I'm saying? Because maturity grows when you serve others. Start holding yourself accountable, and vice versa, with other people that are around you, so you become a person of insight, or you become a person of value. And yeah, this is part 1, so it's just the beginning of it. And I would say a lot of the disconnect that we as people are having, men especially, is a lack of emotional maturity and intelligence. So I think in this time, it's safe to say that we have discovered 2 tools that we need that's going to transcend us onto our higher selves in our journey. And I want you to go home, and I want you to do a deeper dive. Get you a notebook and start really writing notes. Do a deep dive on emotional intelligence, spiritual intelligence, emotional maturity, and spiritual maturity. And I want you to do like a side-by-side on each page. If you're going to do like 4 pages of emotional intelligence and maturity, and then do 4 pages of spiritual intelligence and maturity. And you start from there. So now you're giving yourself the tools to look. You know what I'm saying? And this is something important for us, because as a person who had to grow and learn that, I want to be able to hold others accountable and also teach other people and encourage you to want and to go out there and do the shadow work and do the inner work yourself. And that's a big part of why I'm starting this channel, man. It's okay to express yourself. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to speak up. And I think that's the problem that we're having, is we are holding men to such a expected box, because I don't even want to say a pedestal. We're holding men to this expectation, this box, that they are almost robotic, like they can't have feelings. And I think that's what is kind of like damaging us as a people. I think it's okay for men to express themselves. I think it's okay for us to give them a safe space to express themselves. And that's a part of what Huncho Hills is about, man. I want you to know, like, it's time to start knowing your worth, knowing you are a king and a queen. And I want you to do the work, do the inner work, build that emotional intelligence and maturity and spiritual intelligence and maturity to know and to have discernment for the people around you and the women you date. Because ultimately, building this actually stops you from continuing the lesson through certain relationships. Let me tell you something. This is when you know you grown. You ever date somebody and right after y'all break up, you date another person and it feels like you just dated the same person in two different bodies? And it's because you didn't learn the lesson. In most of the cases, the lesson is to build that spiritual and emotional intelligence and maturity, to have discernment, to be aligned with your purpose and your morals and all these great things. And sometimes in life, when you miss the lesson or you keep missing the lesson, you will continue to go through this with it. People, places, things, jobs, opportunities, everything, until you learn and you build that spiritual and emotional intelligence and maturity. And I think that now that we getting into it for real, and this is the part 1, I want to let you know that the next episode is a trigger warning, because you won't know what side you sit on until you do the work, until you look at yourself. And this is like me holding a mirror to you. So now you got one side of things. And on the next chapter, we're going to talk about spiritual and emotional ignorance, or spiritual and emotional immaturity. And I think that's speaks volumes in itself. And we're going to take this step by step, really getting into it as deep as we can go. Pause. For all you pausers out there, you feel me? Well, they say no hetero. So I just think that was funny. If you took offense to it, I deeply apologize, but sorry, not sorry. We're gonna get deep, man. We're gonna get to the core of things, and you get to laugh at this shit, man. You get to laugh at your pain and turn that bit to power for real. You don't let it define you anymore. You don't let it keep you at a level that doesn't serve you. It doesn't get you to the next level. And you got to look at it as everything you're holding in your subconscious, that becomes baggage. You feel me? So you don't want to be the one carrying a lot of baggage and also trying to pull people up with you to the next level. You want to free yourself of all that. And this is where it starts, at Huncho Hills, man. If you're not tapped in, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell. And this part of the mindset mechanics is done, and you already know what's next. To the ritual room. Yeah. Feel a little bit better now. Yeah. You have now entered the ritual room. Yep. It's a deep one. So this chapter was about emotional and spiritual maturity. It's about being responsible with your power. It's about, shifting your emotional maturity lens on how you see things. It shifts from reacting to responding, your ego to awareness, your survival to intention, and your wounds to wisdom. I don't know about you, but these are the two most important and powerful tools God damn. Woo. Yes. Emotional and spiritual maturity is about choosing self-regulation over justification. Emotionally immature people, they explain their behavior. Emotionally mature people, they manage their emotions and their behavior and those of others, and because they know that it affects those around them, you know. You detach from ego narratives, accountability without shame. Immaturity has you avoiding accountability because your superficial beliefs have you associating growth or healing with bad or wrong, you know. And some people view change as scary. So I think that this chapter was something powerful due to the tools that I'm giving you, or something that, you know, you should be looking up and getting a deeper dive in to see if you can elevate where you're at, or maybe you didn't have as much emotional, spiritual maturity as you thought you had. Accountability is not punishment. It's maintenance. Example. Growth is emotional and spiritual maturity, right? And emotional and spiritual maturity is like a software in your motherboard or in your operating system. You following me? Okay. Now, listen to me. It's like your old software. When somebody tried you, the first thing that goes into your operating system of your motherboard is, they tried me. Now, I'm finna tell them how they got me up, and I'm finna beat their ass. That's the old software's operating system. The new software, I felt triggered, so I paused, chose a healthy response. I chose my response first, and I reacted in a respectful way, right? So remember, the software upgrade, choosing an elevated response, and regulating your emotions are all a part of emotional, spiritual maturity and intelligence. So you want to keep a spiritual lens. It isn't about being calm all the time. It's about being conscious all the time. Your spirit doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to be aligned, and it needs you to be present. Your feelings are valid. Your reactions are just optional. Spiritual maturity is when your truth stops whispering and starts leading. You stop performing and start being. Signs of ego maturity. You don't need the last word. You don't chase validation, and you don't collapse when someone disagrees. Your soul has a dashboard, and when the check engine light comes on, you don't panic. I want you to turn on the mindset mechanics, tap in with Huncho Hills, and pull up to the ritual room for a service check, because that wraps up this episode. And we are just really getting to the thick of it. You know what I'm saying? And this is only part one, so I want you to pay attention. We just scratched the surface when it comes to these two things. I want you to go home and do a deeper dive on emotional maturity and intelligence, and then spiritual maturity and intelligence. And I want you to cross-reference. And I also want you to write down at least 5 moments that you could have chose a better response, and then write 5 moments in which you chose the best respectful response, and in a sense of where most people, or most cases, you would tend to be more prideful, you know? So I feel like today was a very interesting chapter, and it's only gonna get deeper. One thing that I did notice while I was learning and growing and unlearning the things that I held on to before, like superficial beliefs or habits, I'm starting to understand now, you know, not everything needs a response. Not everything needs to be spoken on. Sometimes you don't always have to tell your side of the story. You know, sometimes you don't always have to prove your point. So you have to let some people believe or think or feel the way they feel, because in a sense, their feelings are valid. It might not be accurate to the situation, but you have to let people feel, because essentially those are not your problems. How people feel, how people react, what people do, how people think, that is not your problem. It's not your business. And a lot of the times we get so focused and hyper focused on how other people feel and what other people think, instead of honing into what we feel and what we think. And I think this is gonna get you to make that shift in your mind, you know? And like any other episode, we ended with the mystery mantra. We go ahead and shake away all our problems for the week. We let it go. We move forward. We forgive. I ain't say forget. I want you to just listen to this song. This is us changing and growing together. This is the money in your bank account. I claim that over you. This is the money in your safe, in your purse. I claim that over you. Put it right here. That's 2. That's 3. All right. Oh, this is always interesting. Let's see what it say. I can't make this up. Wow. Our mystery mantra for today is: you are centered, you are authentic, and choose you with no apology. And that wraps up the ritual room within the mindset mechanics of Honcho Hills. And if you aren't subscribed, I want you to tap that bell so you stay tuned whenever I drop. I want you to like, comment, and subscribe. Tap in with me, man. Oh, if you wanted to know, the intro song is coming. But it's unreleased music from out of my vault. Yes, I do music. You didn't know. Make sure that you type in at DATS.Huncho, and we'll be back on the next episode. I want you to do your homework, repeat that mantra. You got it? All right. And that wraps up this episode. Until next time.
I've been on my body, I don't trust nobody. I don't really gotta prove shit, cause I kept it solid. A lot of niggas gon' hate, but ain't gon' do nada. You proud of me, I'm stepping in Balenciaga.
I love you, Equinox.
No man won't put no fear in me, no. Tryna cry, but ain't no tears in me.